I am Wendy Morgan, and 12 days before my sister's wedding, my mom texted me one sentence that made me very, very calm. The sentence was this: "You're not coming to the wedding. This family doesn't want you there." Then 3 seconds later, my dad added his contribution. "You make us look low class just by being there." I was sitting at my desk at the time. My assistant Hannah was sitting 4 feet away. The leather wedding planner for my sister's big day was open before me. 8 months of work. $26,000 of my own cash. Every single vendor contract signed in my name with the fancy Mont Blanc fountain pen Vivian had given me for my 30th birthday. I read the text twice. I smiled and typed 4 words back. "So, you are choosing status over family." Then I grabbed my office phone and made 18 calls in 40 minutes. Because here is what my mother forgot when she sent that text. I had paid for the venue. I had paid for the florist. I had paid for the caterer, the DJ, the photographer, and the cascading wisteria she specifically demanded for the entrance arch. And what I did at a Holiday Inn ballroom 12 days later in front of every Ashford was something nobody in that family could have ever predicted. Welcome back to Hidden Family Revenge. If you have ever been quietly cut out of your own family to keep up appearances with someone they wanted to impress, this story will hit close to home. Drop a comment with the word receipts if you have ever held the legal paperwork your family forgot you controlled. Smash that subscribe button. What went down at the Holiday Inn ballroom is something I am still talking about. A year later, I run a boutique event planning firm called Westbrook Events. It bears my middle name because when I quit Cal State Sacramento at 20, my dad told me to my face I would never build anything worth my last name. He said it right at the table while Mom nodded along. I remember thinking, "Fine, I will just use a different name." Then, that was 12 years ago. Westbrook Events has 4 staff members now. We handle local weddings and corporate retreats around the Sacramento area. No glitz, just results. Every vendor in town knows my voice. 8 months before that text, my younger sister Vivian called me, sobbing. She had just accepted a ring from Trent Ashford, and our mother had immediately hijacked the wedding planning. Vivian wanted something small. Mom wanted a Cresthaven Manor bash with imported orchids. Vivian was drowning. So, I made her an offer. I would manage every vendor myself. I would use my trade contacts to score rates nobody else could touch. I would put it all on my business account and handle the bills with our parents later. It was my wedding gift to her, she cried. She hugged me. She told me I was the best sister alive. 8 months of massive binders. 8 months of weekend food tastings. 8 months of dragging fabric swatches to her hair appointments. Because she was trapped at the beauty salon. Every contract, every deposit, every single signed page. The Mont Blanc pen clicked open. The ink dried. The binner slammas shoot. I never questioned whose name was on those contracts until 12 days before the wedding. When my mother told me I was banned, the text hit on a Tuesday at 3:47 in the afternoon. I recall the exact minute because I was busy with a rental company discussing napkins. My phone buzzed. I looked down, saw the notification from my mother. I cut the call short. I told the rep I would call, back in 10 minutes. I lied. I scanned the first text. Then I checked the second one from my father. I read them both again, just to confirm I wasn't hallucinating. You are not invited to the wedding. We do not want you there. You make us look low class just by existing in the room. I felt nothing for 4 seconds. Then a very specific feeling took over. Not rage. Not grief. Something cold and sharp. Like when a dripping faucet stops and you realize just how silent a room can actually get. Hannah looked up from her screen. She is 27, and she has been working with me 4 years. She can read me better than my own family ever could. "What is happening?" she asked. I did not say a word yet. I turned my phone toward her and slid it across the desk. She read the message. Then she read them again. She stayed silent. She just slowly clicked her laptop shut. I grabbed my phone, I backed up and typed 4 words. So, you are choosing status over blood. I hit send. Then I uncapped the Mont Blanc pen and opened the binder. The first vendor on the list was Cattail and Blooms. I dialed the number from memory. I had a wedding to dismantle. To understand why my mother typed that text, you need to understand the engagement party. 4 months earlier, the Ashfords had thrown a dinner at their country club. The Ashfords are old Sacramento real estate. 4 generations of it. They are also, importantly, not the kind of people who brag about their old money. They talk about the public school their grandkids attend. My mother had been vibrating with excitement at that dinner since Destry Trent proposed. She had a new dress. She had her pearl pin. The one she only wore for what she called important occasions. She had practiced the small wave she planned to do at the doorway. I drove myself there. I wore a navy dress I already owned. I was the only one there and something not new. Beatrice Ashford was the first person to talk to me. She is in her early 60s. Slim? With neat gray hair. She walked over while my mother was still fussing with her clutch in the entryway. You must be Wendy, she said. Trent has told me about your company. I said, yes. That is me. She asked what kind of events I managed most. I told her. She asked sharp questions about the staffing model, about how I managed cash flow in slow seasons, about what made a great vendor partnership. She was the most engaged adult I had talked to in 5 years. I caught my mother eyeing us from across the room, that pearl pin glinting under the chandelier. Her expression was hard to pin down. Aunt Marjorie walked over and steered my mother toward the bar. I saw my aunt jab my mother's elbow and whisper. My mother nodded. As the night ended, Beatrice laid her hand on my arm. You are impressive. Vende, she said. Vivian is lucky to have you. I drove home feeling great. I had no clue I had just sent my mother into a 4-month panic. Hannah finally spoke up. Vende, she said carefully. Are we calling off the wedding? I looked up from the binder. We are cutting the vendors. Whether there is a wedding is up to my mother and the Ashfords. I just refuse to pay for it. She nodded slowly. Walk me through the contracts. I flipped to the index. 18 vendors. Cresthaven Manor for the venue. Maison Beaumont for catering. Catalina Blooms for flowers. Riley Bennett for the DJ. 2 photographers. The cake. Transportation. Hängtaulinings. The dance floor. The lighting. And the Wisteria Arch installation crew. The string quartet for the ceremony. The hairstylists. The makeup team. And the hotel suite. Every single one had my name as the primary client. Every single one had my business card as the payment method on file. My mother had insisted on that setup 8 months ago. She called it vendor lock-in pricing. Just that. She didn't want the stress of logistics. She just wanted to be a mother of the bride. I agreed because I thought it was a gift. I uncapped my Mont Blanc pen. I placed it on the legal pad. Hannah cleared her afternoon schedule. I wrote out a checklist. Vendor name. Deposit forfeit. Final payment cancellation fees. How to cancel. Recovery time. The Mont Blanc clicked softly when I screwed the cap back on. I looked at Hannah. She looked at me. My mom is calling in about 40 minutes. I said, I want the first 8 items finished before she does. Hannah grabbed her phone. I will start the calls from my side. You take venues and catering. I will handle flowers and transit. Go. I called Catalina Blooms. Catalina Blooms answered on the second ring. Catalina. This is Wendy at Westbrook. Events. I need to cancel the Morgan Ashford wedding order. The full thing. Today, Catalina paused. We have known each other 6 years. She runs the best flower shop in the Sacramento area. I have sent her referrals totaling $90,000 during our time working together. Vende. Are you okay? I am fine. I need the cancellation in writing within the hour. I know I lose the $4,200 deposit. I need you to block the $7,800 payment auto-drafting on the 5th. Send me an email confirming both. Done. She said. She did not pry. She knows this industry. She knew that whatever had happened, I did not want to talk about it. The email hit my inbox 4 minutes later. I slashed a line through Catalina Blooms with the Mont Blanc. I called Maison Beaumont. Same conversation. 2,000 forfeited. 9,400. Voided. Confirmation within 7 minutes. Line through Maison Beaumont. Riley Bennett. The DJ. He is a friend. He refunded the entire deposit since he said he was on call that night anyway and could easily rebook. Line through Riley Bennett. Now. The transportation company. Voided in 3 minutes. The string quartet. Refunded in full. Per my request. The cake. The cake was the only one that hurt. It was custom. The baker had already milled the lavender for the buttercream. I told her to keep the lavender batch and the design notes for one of my upcoming clients. She agreed. $300 forfeited. 1,800 voided. 11 lines through 11 vendors in 26 minutes. The Mont Blanc felt warm in my hand. I muttered to myself while I marked off the orchid order. Low class. Right. Low class people do not deliver orchids on time. Low class doesn't know the legal cancellation clause. Hannah looked up at me. She didn't laugh. But her shoulders finally relaxed. We had 7 vendors left. My phone started lighting up around 4:22. First call from my mother. I ignored it. The second. Ignored. The third went to voicemail. I did not bother listening. The fourth and fifth came in back-to-back at 4:31. I silenced the ringer completely. I refused to be the one losing focus. Hannah was working through the handling the vehicle rentals and the lighting. The crew. I grabbed the next contract. At 4:36. My phone pinged with a text from Vivian. Vende. Please answer. Mom says you are overreacting. Please. I read the message. I flipped the phone over. I stayed silent. Hannah looked at me. Vivian. I confirmed. Mom told her I am being dramatic. What did it say? Mom probably hasn't told her the truth of what she wrote. She told Vivian I am having some kind of breakdown. Hannah nodded. She did not pry. She handed me the rental files already wiped clean. I finally drew the line. At 4:41, my mother left a voicemail. The phone showed the length. 2 minutes, 11 seconds. I deleted it. The flood of texts started arriving. From my mother. From Aunt Marjorie. From my father finally at 4:53. Vende. Your mother is upset. Call her back. I ignored his call. I ignored hers too. I had Cresthaven Manor to cancel. And I wanted to do that one in person. I checked the binder. The venue contract was right at the front. $18,000 in final payments set to auto-draft Friday morning. $4,000 deposit forfeit on cancellation. I grabbed my phone and dialed the direct line for Eric. The venue manager at Cresthaven. I had $18,000 to pull back from the edge. Eric answered on the first ring. He always does. Vende. Tell me good news. Eric. I am canceling the Morgan Ashford wedding. Total cancellation tonight. He went silent for 2 seconds. Then he said, Vende. The deposit is $4,000. The final 18 is set to draft Friday. You are losing $4,000 on the cancellation. But I can stop the 18 if you confirm in the next 30 minutes. Confirm. Refund the 18 to the card on file. I want the cancellation email tonight. He took a breath. Are you sure? I am sure. Vende. You realize what this means for them. We are 11 days out. I realize. Eric. They have 11 days. I have a checkbook with 3 blank weeks of capacity. Send the email. He sent it 16 minutes later. Subject line, Cresthaven Manor cancellation confirmation. Refund of $18,000 processed to Westbrook Events business card ending in 4482. Deposit forfeit $4,000. I drew the line through Cresthaven with the Mont Blanc. The binder had 4 vendors left. I would handle them in the morning. I leaned back in my chair. I looked out, the window. Sacramento at 5:15 on a Tuesday, in early September. The light was the color of weak tea. Hannah looked over at me. How are you feeling? I thought about it for a second. Like I just paid the cheapest therapy bill of my life. I said, and listen. I want to say something to you right now. If you are still watching at the 4-minute mark, because somebody out there is doing the blank math on what I just did. Somebody is thinking, why did she lose $4,000 to a venue she could have used? Let me tell you what I learned at 22. The year my father told me my last name was not worth a tuition. Losing $4,000 to walk away from people who told you make them look low class is the cheapest therapy money can buy. Ever written a check just to make someone leave? Drop the words cheapest therapy in the comments. And hit subscribe. The Holiday Inn drama is here, and I am not skipping a single second. My mother arrived at my office at 6:04. I had sent Hannah home at 5:45. She tried to stay. I forced her out. No reason for her to witness what was about to happen. The front door chimed. Mother walked in pearls. Perfect makeup. That dress she wears when she is ready to ruin someone's life. I stayed seated. I kept the binder open. I kept my Mont Blanc out. Hi. Mom. Vende. This has gone on long enough. She tried warmth first. Honey. Let us talk. I am sitting. She tried ice. You have embarrassed our family. You have embarrassed yourself. Have I? Then came the tears, the fake ones. She pulls them out whenever she needs them. I stayed completely still. Mom. Every single vendor I booked for Vivian's wedding got an email today. 8 of them already confirmed the cancellation in writing. The final 10 will be done by tomorrow morning. Cresthaven Manor just released the date. The Ashfords no longer have a venue for their reception. She turned pale in 2 waves. First her mouth, then hair, eyes. You are lying. I am not. Eric at Cresthaven sent the official cancellation notice. Call him if you want. She tried to speak. Silence. I tilted my head. I mean, I get it, you might prefer to just not call. Because, honestly, low-class people don't usually have a direct line to high-end venue managers. So, why would you even try calling? Eric. Her eyes shut for a single beat. I added, sounding almost kind. But since low-class people don't usually get wedding invites, I have to wonder why you are even standing here. She turned and left without a word. I watched my mother through the office window. She finally reached her car. She stood in the parking lot for 30 seconds. Then yanked her phone out of her bag and started dialing. I couldn't hear a thing. But I watched her shoulders. I watched her pace back and forth. I saw the way she gestured with her left hand. That pearl pin caught the glare of the parking lamp. I knew exactly who she was calling Aunt Marjorie. Marjorie is Mom's older sister. 55. Twice divorced. And never recovered financially or socially from either. She lives in a condo my mother bought her way into. She lives for my mother's social schedule. They have a specific tone whenever they talk. Loud. Sharp. Almost competitive. By 7 that night, my cousin Layla sent me a text. Vendy. What is happening? Mom is at Aunt Cordelia's place with a bottle of wine, and they are calling every vendor. Layla is 26. Marjorie's daughter. She has never quite been on her mother's level. We aren't exactly close, but we are friendly. They are calling vendors. I typed back. What do you mean they are trying to threaten them? Like telling them they will get bad reviews if they do not honor the original contracts. I laughed out loud in my empty office. I actually laughed. Layla. The contracts are in my name, not theirs. I figured. They are not having a good time over here. A pause. Then Layla added casually. Have you seen the family chat lately? I read the line twice. What family chat, oh? Layla wrote. Oh. Vende. The group with Mom. Your mom. And your dad. They have been planning to push you out for 2 years. I sat perfectly still. I told her to tell me everything. Vivian rang my doorbell at 10:03 that night. I had been home an hour. I had not made dinner. I had been sitting on my couch with my Mont Blanc pen in hand and Layla's last text on my screen. I opened the door. Vivian's mascara was halfway down her face. Vende. Why are you doing this? I stepped aside. She came in. She sat down on my hallway floor without taking her coat off. Something I had not seen her do since she was 11. I sat across from her. The hallway is narrow. Our knees could have touched if we tried. Vivian. Did you know Mom texted and called me low class? She didn't mean Vivian. She wrote it. The words are right there. Dad followed up with his own version. Both texts are on my phone right now. She looked at the floor. Why did you not call me? She asked. Vivian. You are the bride. I was not going to call you 11 days. Right before your wedding. Crying about Mom. I was going to handle it the way I handle everything. By canceling the whole thing. By pulling my name off every contract I signed just because I thought I was helping you out. Mom decided I was not family. So I decided not to fund family events anymore. She buried her face in her hands. After a long minute, she looked up. Vende. Did Mom really say I am worth more than you? I thought about lying. I did not. No. Vivian. She said you embarrass her less. She flinched. I have not seen Vivian flinch since we were kids. She stood up. She wiped her face with her sleeve. She studied me for a long second. Vende. I need to think. Okay. I am not on her side. Vivian. I love you. But you need to choose if you are on mine. She left. The door clicked shut. I sat in the hallway for another 20 minutes. Then I went to find Vivian's laptop. Vivian had left her computer at my place 2 weekends back. She had been working on table arrangements while I grabbed some snacks for both of us. She promised she would swing by to pick the laptop up after the menu meeting on Saturday. Saturday had come and gone. The laptop sat on my entry table under a stack of mail. I opened it. The lock screen usually needed a fingerprint or a passcode. She never set one up. Her Messages app was still open in the browser tab. I scrolled through the sidebar. Most threads looked normal. Bridesmaid chats. Trent. The dress fitter. At the bottom of the sidebar, with an indicator showing a small red dot, was a group thread. The thread was named M and D and Marge. Mom. Dad. Marjorie. Vivian had been added to the group chat for some logistical planning 2 weeks ago. She never muted it. The messages just kept rolling in. I scrolled to the very top. The thread had started back in March of 2024. 2 years ago, 3 months after my 30th birthday. 3 months after Vivian gifted me that Mont Blanc pen, the first message was from my mother. After the wedding, we need a plan to phase Wendy out. She really does not need to attend every single holiday. Then a message from Aunt Marjorie. She is a Laudermouse. Cordelia. She means well, but it is just a lot. My father chimed in, agreed. She does not fit the picture. Let us see how the engagement goes. I collapsed onto my kitchen counter. I kept scrolling. September 2024. Marjorie says, Beatrice asked about Wendy and her business at the engagement party. We need to deflect those conversations. She is simply not their kind. December 2024. Beatrice mentioned Wendy looked capable at the Christmas open house. I am losing my mind. February 2025 plan after rehearsal dinner. Wendy stays home with a fake work emergency. Vivian agrees. August 2025. Last week. 8 days before my mother sent that text. We need to handle the wedding invitation directly with Wendy. She has to think she chose to step back. I uncapped the Mont Blanc. I opened a fresh legal pad. I started scribbling down the dates. I searched the chat for the phrase low class. The first hit was from Aunt Marjorie. 11 months back. Regarding a Christmas dress I once wore. The second came from Mom. Half a year ago. Mocking my hair. The third arrived this past Tuesday. I screenshotted every single text. I didn't shed a tear. I just kept writing. I could have confronted her that night. I didn't. I sent the images to Iris Peterson, my old college roommate, a paralegal at a divorce firm, who has watched me weather far worse storms than this from afar. Her reply hit at 12:41 a.m. Vende. These are receipts. I know. Don't blast them. Not tonight. I wasn't going to. They will do something stupid first. They always do. Wait for it. I am waiting. A pause. Then she sent Wurzend. And don't tell Vivian what you saw on the laptop yet. I didn't tell Vivian. I closed the laptop. I shoved it back under the stack of mail. I sent Vivian a text that said simply, Thanks for stopping by. I love you. Talk tomorrow. She didn't reply. I brewed tea. I sat on my couch. I weighed my options. I could send those screenshots to my mother and watch her world implode. That would feel great for an hour. Then it would all be over. I could send the evidence to Beatrice Ashford. That would be much more effective. But it would also feel like I was using Beatrice. I didn't want that. Or I could wait. I chose to wait. Whatever happened next, my mother was going to bring it on herself. She always did. I went to bed at 2 in the morning and slept for 9 hours. I hadn't slept that well in a year. My mother called Beatrice Ashford on Wednesday morning. I know because Lila pinged me at noon. Vende. Mom is here. Aunt Cordelia called Beatrice last night to claim that you are having a breakdown and ruining the wedding just for spite. Oh boy. I typed back. Vende. Beatrice replied with, quote, I would like to speak with Wendy directly. I stared at the text, laughed, and brewed some coffee. If you have been watching this channel a while, and you have ever sat in a kitchen watching a parent rewrite reality in real time, comment the word rewrite down below. Because honestly, here is what is about to happen. My mother is about to find out that Beatrice Ashford did not get to be Beatrice Ashford by listening to petty gossip in country club hallways. Beatrice asks, and then she asks again. And then she checks the paperwork. Beatrice's secretary called me at 4:14 that afternoon. I expected the call. She was warm, pleasant, and direct. Miss Morgan. Mrs. Ashford would like to invite you to her home for tea this Friday at 3 o'clock if you are free. I am free. Mrs. Ashford asks that you bring any documents related to the wedding planning. She mentioned vendor contracts. Receipts. Whatever you have. I will bring the binder. Thank you. Ms. Morgan. We look forward to seeing you Friday. I hung up. I packed the binder. I made copies of every single page. I made a separate manila folder, stuffed with printed group chat screenshots. I clipped it all together with my evidence attached to the cover. I had 3 days to get my story straight. I knew exactly what I was bringing. Friday afternoon. 2:57. The Ashford place was in an old Sacramento neighborhood I had only ever driven past. Massive valley oaks lined the street. Houses sat tucked away behind low picket fences. Beatrice had a craftsman home with a green door and porch swing. No gate. No doorman. Just Beatrice in a beige cardigan holding the screen door. Vende. Come in. Tea is hot. The place was tasteful in a way that feels hard to put into words. Faded rugs. A floor-to-ceiling bookcase. A piano that was clearly played. No guilt attached. No pretentious art. Just a black and white photo of a guy in mechanic's overalls above the fireplace. She poured the tea herself. Earl Grey. In real porcelain cups. No cookies. Just the tea. Vende. What is going on? I dropped 3 sheets of paper on the table between us. The first was my master list of canceled vendors and the total costs. The second was the original Cresthaven contract with my signature and Westbrook Events listed as the firm. The third was the bank statement showing $26,000 paid out over 8 months from my business account to fund my mother's wedding vision. Beatrice put on a pair of reading glasses I had not noticed. She went through every sheet slowly. She didn't skim. She read every word. After 3 minutes, she looked up. Your mother told my husband at the engagement dinner that your business was, and I am quoting, a little hobby Wendy does on the weekends. I have 4 employees. We pulled in 6 figures in revenue last year. 2 corporate retreats and 11 weddings total. Cresthaven gave us a vendor discount since I have hosted 6 events at their venue. Beatrice tapped the bank statement. And the $26,000 my money. My card. Vivian had asked. I replied. I thought it was a gift. Beatrice stayed silent for a long, tense moment. Why would she tell us your business was just a side hobby? Because she's terrified you will find out my business is more stable than my father's entire investment portfolio. Beatrice didn't react with drama. She just nodded once. Then she said, Vivian's wedding is in 8 days. What do you want to happen? Wendy, I had been asking myself that for 3 days. I want the wedding to happen. Mrs. Ashford. Beatrice. Just Beatrice. I want Vivian and Trent to have their big day. It isn't their fault. I am not the one who canceled the event. My mother did when she claimed I make her look low class. I just want the Ashfords to know who actually funded the parts that really existed. Beatrice took her glasses off. And do you want to be there? If you invite me. Yes. Not if my parents invite me. They told me I wasn't welcome. She didn't hesitate. Consider yourself invited by me. Personally. She stood up. She walked to a small writing desk against the wall. She opened a drawer. She pulled out a crisp place card. She picked up a slim silver pen. The pen felt just as substantial in her hand as my Mont Blanc does in mine. I noticed that before I realized I had even seen it. She wrote my name in perfect calligraphy. Vende Morgan. Underneath that sat the Ashford table. She handed the card to me. Vendi, I have one more question. Then we can finish. Did your mother tell you explicitly that you make her look trashy? She typed it. So did my father. I have the receipts. May I see them? I pulled out the manila folder. I handed over the printed group chat screenshots, the whole stack. She read for 9 minutes. Total silence. When she finished, she folded the papers and set them on the desk. Vende. I will see you next Saturday. She walked me to the door. She didn't say goodbye. She just squeezed my hand. Her grip was steady and warm. I drove home with that place card on the passenger seat. My mother and father spent the next 4 days scrambling for a new wedding venue. Layla kept me posted. They called Cresthaven and tried to reverse the cancellation. Eric was polite. He told them the date was already taken by a corporate event. He spoke with the voice of a man who had been coached. They tried the Sterling Hotel, fully booked all season. They tried the Presenting, Hyatt downtown, booked. They tried the Folsom Vineyard, booked solid. Summer wedding season in Sacramento fills up 8 months early. There wasn't a single high-end venue left on 11 days' notice. By Thursday, they had settled on the airport Holiday Inn, a conference room with buzzing fluorescent lights, drop ceilings, and a buffet plane. Since that Holiday Inn doesn't do plated meals, my mother emailed the entire extended family about the sudden venue change. The excuse she gave was, and I am quoting her, due to Aunt Marjorie's hearing aid guy being way closer to the airport. Lila sent me a screenshot of that email with just one laughing emoji. The new catering was a total panic move. The original Maison Beaumont had been serving filet mignon. The Holiday Inn deal was a buffet of teriyaki, chicken, mashed potatoes, and some vegetarian pasta. My parents paid $14,000 for that buffet since the Holiday Inn knew they were only 11 days out. The new florist was just a bulk grocery store order. White roses and baby's breath in plastic buckets. $300 total. The wedding cake came straight from the Costco bakery. My mother told everyone it was a deliberate stylistic choice, a return to simplicity. She claimed. My father told the country club that there was a surprise construction issue at Cresthaven. Nobody at the club believed him. I didn't speak to anyone in my family for the rest of the week. I grabbed a navy dress I already had, hanging in my closet, and put it where I could see it. Vivian showed up at my office Friday afternoon, 3 days before the wedding. No makeup on. Hair in a messy bun. She clearly hadn't slept. Vende. Mom said you went behind her back to Beatrice. I closed my binder. Beatrice invited me to tea at her place. Vivian sat across from my desk. She kept her coat on. Mom is saying you are trying to ruin the wedding. Vivian. I am coming to the wedding. She looked up. Sharp. You're coming. Beatrice invited me personally. She wrote out a place card. I'm sitting at the Ashford table. Vivian's face flickered through 3 emotions. Wide eyes. Then relief. Then a messu. Complicated kind of fear. Mom is going to lose it. Mom has been unraveling since the engagement party. Vivian. You just missed it. I didn't see it either until this week. What do you mean I thought about mentioning the group chat? I decided against it. Not yet. Not before the wedding. I mean, Mom has been maneuvering for the Ashfords for 2 years. And I was the part of the picture she couldn't figure out how to crop. Vivian's eyes filled. She didn't cry. She just held them open until they cleared. She pointed at the Mont Blanc on my desk. Can I have it back? I looked at her. I looked at the pen. It was a gift. Vivian. From you for my 30th. It's mine. She nodded. She didn't push. She didn't argue. She just stared at the pen for a long second. The way you look at something you almost broke and then realized you didn't get to break. Vende. I love you. I love you too. She left. I uncapped the Mont Blanc. I signed 3 contracts that afternoon. The day before the wedding, I did very little. I went to the office in the morning. I signed paperwork for a new corporate retreat client. I grabbed coffee for Hannah. I told her she didn't need to come in on Saturday. She would be at her sister's barbecue. Good. I went home at 3. I washed the navy dress. I steamed it. I laid it across my bed. I tried on a small pair of earrings. Not pearl. Plain. Silver studs. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the dress. For a long time, Hannah texted at 6. "You okay tomorrow? Best I have been in a year." I typed back. She sent a heart. Iris messaged at 7. She had stopped by my place that afternoon and left a sealed envelope at my door. Inside were 2 crisp printed copies of those group chat screenshots, plus a sticky note. It read, "In case you need them, I am rooting for you." I slid the envelope into my clutch. I made dinner. Iate alone. I watched the light fade from the kitchen. At 9, I thought to myself, quite clearly in the dark of my own apartment, the only witness being me. Low class does not pay deposits. I do. I slept 8 hours. The Holiday Inn near the airport. Saturday. 4:07 in the afternoon. I parked my car in a standard hotel guest spot. I walked up the sloped concrete entrance. 2 columns of beige stone stood on either side of the lobby doors. They were trying way too hard to look like a venue rather than a roadside motel. The lobby reeked of cheap carpet cleaner. A sign on an easel read, "Morgan Ashford Wedding. Ballroom B." It used the bland Holiday Inn corporate font. There was a directional arrow. I followed it. The hallway carpet had a diamond pattern. The drop ceiling tiles featured brown water stains in 2 distinct places. Someone had placed a sad floral arrangement at the entrance to Ballroom B. White roses. Baby breath. Grocery store quality. My mother was standing at the door. She wore that same dress from the engagement party. Pearl pin. Heels and all. She was greeting cousins. Putting on her best social mask. Then she saw me walking down the hallway. She froze. Mid-handshake with my cousin Brett. Her hand locked up in his. Brett looked totally confused. My father, standing 3 feet behind her, turned around when he saw her stiffen. He turned a shade of gray I had never seen on a living person. Aunt Marjorie, over by the gift table, practically shouted across the room. "What is she doing here?" I kept walking, eyes straight ahead, ignoring every single one of them. A quiet voice at my elbow whispered, "Vende." It was Beatrice. She had slipped out of the ballroom to find me. Wearing a soft gray dress, she tucked her arm through mine in a way that sent a clear message. "Cordelia. Wendy is sitting with us at the Ashford table. I hope that is not a problem." My mother opened her mouth. Then she shut it. She tried to speak again. "Of course," she snapped. The words were brittle. Beatrice didn't wait for an answer. She marched me right past my mother and into the ballroom. She gave my arm a squeeze as we crossed the threshold. The ceremony was at 4:30. The ballroom was split by a temporary partition, chairs set up on one side for the wedding ceremony, buffet tables on the other side, hidden under cloths. The chairs were standard hotel issue, draped in cheap white covers with tacky sashes. Those sashes were tied completely unevenly. The ceremony was at 4:30. The ballroom was split by a flimsy partition, chairs on one side for the service, buffet tables on the other end draped in linens. The seating was basic hotel issue. They had been shoved into white covers with tacky sashes, and every single sash was tied crooked. Vivian walked down that makeshift aisle, wearing her wedding dress. The gown was stunning. At least, she bought it herself. Trent stood waiting up front. He looked rock steady. He watched her with genuine love. Regardless of the chaos within this family, he was the perfect match for her. I sat at the Ashford table right near the front, Beatrice to my right, Gerald Ashford, Trent's father, to my left. Gerald is 64. Quiet. The type who observes more than he speaks. The officiant droned through the usual vows. Vivian spoke hers. Trent spoke his. Then they traded rings. It lasted 30 minutes. My mother kept glancing over at me. My father's jaw remained clenched the entire time. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," I clapped. It was Vivian. After all, my own little sister getting married. Vivian's eyes locked onto mine across the aisle. She didn't look away. She gave me a smile. A tiny one. But it was genuine. The partition was pushed aside. The room was shifted for cocktail hour. The buffet stations were finally uncovered. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The ceremony was fine. The reception was where it all fell apart. 6:08 in the evening. Cocktail hour. The bar was a cheap folding hotel setup. The bartender wore a Holiday Inn polo shirt. The signature cocktail Mom had planned, a lavender French 75, was gone, replaced by generic Chardonnay and a tray of Coors Light bottles. I stood near the bar with a glass of water. My mother marched across the ballroom straight for me. Her heels clicked like gunshots on the temporary dance floor. She didn't stop until she was 8 inches from my face. "How dare you," she hissed. I didn't step back. I didn't lower my voice. I didn't raise it either. "Mom, you're at a wedding. Be quiet. You ruined this," she said. Louder now. People 3 tables over were starting to look. "Mom? I asked you to be quiet once." "Look at this place," she hissed. "Look at what you did. Look at what your jealousy cost this family." A voice behind her said, very calmly, "Cordelia." Beatrice had crossed the room. Gerald was with her. Trent was a step behind. Vivian was at Trent's elbow. "Cordelia, would you mind joining me for a moment? There is something I would like to clarify in front of the family." My mother turned. She tried to smile. The smile didn't land. "Beatrice, we don't need to make a scene." "I agree," Beatrice said pleasantly, "which is why I would like to clarify this at the family circle. The toasts are scheduled in 10 minutes anyway. We can take care of it now." She didn't wait for my mother to agree. She gently turned and walked toward the center of the ballroom. Gerald followed. Trent followed. My mother had no choice. She followed too. I followed last. The center of the ballroom had been cleared for the toast. A small podium had been set up. A microphone sat on a stand. Beatrice ignored both. She walked into the center of the cleared space. She turned. She faced the family circle. 22 family members had wandered closer when they saw the movement. Some were holding drinks. Some had set them down. Aunt Marjorie was at the edge. Her face had gone pale. Gerald Ashford pinged his glass with a butter knife. Just one strike. The room fell silent. "Family," Beatrice began. Her voice wasn't loud. It cut through the room because everyone was waiting for her next move. "My husband and I have spent months getting to know your family. I need to clear up something that has been bothering us." My mother's smile looked forced and tight. Her pearl pin caught the harsh fluorescent light above us. "We were told," Beatrice continued, "that Vivian's sister, Vende, was, and I quote Cordelia, a side hobby, event coordinator who contributed almost nothing to the wedding planning." "Well?" My mother started. "You see? I am going to clarify," Beatrice said. Not unkindly. She pulled a manila envelope from a tiny handbag I hadn't even noticed her carrying. "These are the original vendor invoices for the wedding that was planned at Cresthaven Manor. The one that was canceled 12 days ago." She didn't open it yet, holding it with both hands. She let everyone look at it. "Cordelia, before I open this, would you like to correct what you told my husband at our engagement dinner about Wendy's role in the wedding planning?" My mother swallowed hard. It was a small side project she helped with. A minor thing. Yes. Beatrice stared for a long beat. Fine, she said. She slid the envelope open. I had not yet said a single word. I didn't have to. Beatrice pulled out the pages. She read from the first sheet. These are the vendor invoices for the original Cresthaven wedding. Florist. Catalina Blooms. $7,800. Catering by Maison Beaumont. $9,400. The Cresthaven Manor venue. $18,000. Photography with 2 shooters. $4,200. Music. $2,800. Plus lighting. Linens. Transport. And the Wisteria Arch Crew. She flipped the page. Total contract value. $46,200. Prepaid deposits of $26,000 and some change. She turned again. Every vendor had the same card on file. Westbrook Events Limited. The account holder, Wendy Morgan. President. She let the family circle sit with that for 1 solid second. Wendy Morgan paid for your daughter's wedding. Beatrice said, using her own business funds, over 8 months. $26,000 of her own cash. My father had turned deathly pale. Aunt Marjorie was gripping her purse with white knuckles. Beatrice turned the page. Here is a family group chat from July of this year. Quota. Beatrice can't see Wendy. She will see, I came from rough stock. End quote. My mother let out a small noise. Not a word. Just a sound. There are 47 similar messages. Beatrice said. Dating back to years from Cordelia. Richard. And Marjorie. Planning. Quote. To phase Wendy out once the wedding ended. Silence. Beatrice folded the paper. Cordelia. She said. I want to be clear. I came from a Sacramento foreclosure in 1978. My father was a mechanic. I built this family real estate firm with my husband starting from 1 single duplex. I have no patience for class snobbery. I never have, and I will not tolerate it being performed for my benefit, at the expense of someone's daughter. She swept her gaze across the family circle. Wendy Morgan paid for your daughter's wedding. She repeated. And you told her she makes you look low class. The words hit. They hit harder than anything I have ever heard echo in a room. Aunt Marjorie slumped onto a banquet chair as if her legs had finally snapped. My father froze. He didn't move. Speak. Or even breathe. I stayed silent. My mother tried to speak. She clawed at the air like a drowning woman. Wendy offered. She stammered. Her voice climbed to a shrill pitch. She offered $26,000 because she's a generous person. Beatrice countered. You told her she's an embarrassment. Those are 2 different things. Dear. Beatrice. You don't get it. We had history. I understand history fine. I read every word of that chat thread you wrote. I saw it all last night. I even printed 2 copies. My mother spun toward my father. She turned the way a wife turns to her husband for protection. For backup. My father was a stockbroker. He spent 30 years calculating risks. He calculated for 2 seconds. He said nothing. He didn't look at her. He didn't look at me. He stared at the floor. That was when something inside my mother finally snapped. Not the lies. Not the exposure. But the lack of a defense. She turned back to Beatrice. Her voice went thin. It wasn't supposed to get out. Nothing was supposed to be public. Cordelia. That's how it works. You talk one way in a private chat and another at the country club. Hoping nobody sees you holding both pages. Both reached out at once. I was clutching both pages. Vivian stepped forward. Mom, she said, her voice cracking. Vivian. Listen. Mom. You said Wendy refused to come. You said she was sick. You told me last week she chose to step away. Vivian. Mom. I understand fine. Vivian crossed the room. She walked straight to me. She stood right beside me. She didn't take my hand. She just stood there. It was enough. I spoke once at my sister's wedding. It was not a toast. It was 3 sentences. I looked at my mother. Her makeup was smearing in a way that was new to me. Her pearl pin sat crooked at her collar. I said, Mom, you told me I make this family look low class. My voice stayed perfectly steady. It was, I realize now, the calmest my voice has ever been in a crowded room. You spent 2 years scheming how to make me feel like I chose to leave. I never chose. I just stopped paying for people who wouldn't even say my name. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't pause for effect. I did not perform. I turned to Vivian. Vivian. Be happy. Trent is a good man. I leaned in and kissed my sister on the side of her head. The way I used to when she was 11. The way I hadn't done in 7 years. Then I walked toward the exit. Beatrice's hand brushed mine as I passed her at the edge of the family circle. Drive safely. Vende, she whispered. I walked across the diamond-patterned hallway carpet. I walked past the cousins frozen at the gift table. I brushed past my father. He finally glanced up as I moved. But his face remained a total mask. I did not pause. I walked right out the lobby. I marched across that sloped concrete entrance. I reached my car. Got in. I sat there for 40 seconds. Then I turned the engine over. I drove home in the fading light. Sacramento. 6:45 in September. Pink skies hung over the Valley Oaks. I held it together until I pulled into my driveway. Then I sobbed for 10 minutes. Then I brewed some tea. Home by 8. My phone had been silent in my clutch. I pulled it out. 23 texts. 8 missed calls. I scrolled through. Hannah at 6:52. Iris messaged me. You okay, Iris, at 7:06. Beatrice was a queen. I love her. Are you okay, Lila? At 7:10. Harrison. I am sobbing. You were perfect. Aunt Marjorie left 10 minutes after you did. They are saying nothing at all. 2 of the original Cresthaven event vendors heard it through the industry grapevine. Eric from Cresthaven wrote, Whatever. Went down tonight. Your account is in good standing. Always. I ignored my mother's voicemails. I didn't reply to my father's texts. I made tea. I sat on my couch. Watched the steam rise. On Tuesday, 3 days later, a small cream-colored envelope appeared in my mailbox. Beatrice's handwriting. A short note. Vende. Thank you for what you did and for what you held back. I would like to have you for tea. Every quarter from now on. Beatrice. Signed in the same silver ink as my place card. I tacked the note to my refrigerator. On Sunday afternoon, Vivian had texted. I am so sorry. I see it now. I replied. I love you. I need a minute. She answered. Take as much time as you need. I put the phone down and did not check my socials for 2 days. That was enough. 6 months passed. Westbrook Events booked 3 weddings through the Ashford Connection Network. Beatrice never mentioned she was referring business to me. She didn't have to. Word gets around. I poured that recovered $18,000 into a second coordinator. Her name is Sia. 24 and sharper than I was at that age. The $4,200 I lost on that Catalina Bloom's deposit was recouped by a new corporate retreat client inside 2 months. My mother called once in October. I ignored it. She left no voicemail. My father sent a holiday card in December. I sent it back to him unopened. Aunt Marjorie was quietly removed from the country club Christmas list. I heard about it from Layla over coffee. Vivian and I have been grabbing coffee once a month since November. Slow. Neutral. Trent visited twice. He is decent. He apologized for being blind to it all. I told him I didn't blame him. Beatrice and I have tea every quarter as promised. We mostly talk business. Occasionally, we discuss Vivian. We never talk about my mother. I still use the Mont Blanc. I have signed 47 new contracts with it since that wedding. That pen sits on my desk by the leather binder of every event I have ever planned. Status doesn't pay the bills. I do. But never for people who won't speak my name. If you have stuck with me this long, here is the lesson. People who claim you make them look low class are usually just projecting. They are terrified you will finally uncover who they actually are. They are afraid you will see their truth. My mother spent 30 years climbing a social ladder that Beatrice Ashford had never even bothered to look at. My mother built her whole identity on rungs that other people had nailed to the wall. She was never original. Once I started looking capable, once I looked like I might be more stable than her own fragile structure, I became the threat. I was the competition. I had to be removed from the picture before anyone at Beatrice's level ever noticed me. She wanted me gone. She did not move me out of the picture. I removed myself. That is the difference. That is my revenge. If you have kept the receipts your family forgot you had, hold on to them quietly. Some people need to be paid in mirrors. Drop a comment with the word receipts. Hit subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Let us keep winning. Every signature I placed on those contracts was once an act of love. I thought my name on the paperwork meant I was helping build a beautiful day for my sister. What I did not understand was that my name had value only when it carried money. Not when it carried a person. They wanted my credit, my contacts, my planning, and my silence but not my seat in the room. That pen became more than a tool. It became a mirror. It showed me that dignity is not found in being accepted by people who are ashamed of you, but in refusing to keep signing yourself into places where your presence is treated like a problem. The most dangerous lie in any family is the one everyone agrees to protect for status. And sometimes the cleanest truth is not spoken loudly. It is written clearly. Signed once. And followed by the courage to walk away. Author Nguyen Van Chien.